The MOVAI project, a collaboration of MMRTI and One Vibe Africa, was a successful project to bring the Ethiopian and Kenyan young people together and share their cultural identities. The project has encouraged youth participants to learn about their respective culture. Unfortunately, the cultural exchange between the two communities was done virtually because of the COVID pandemic. Throughout their project in the last 6 months, the MOVAI project has motivated youth participants to work together, share their cultural values, and honor their heritage within King County. The project has also opened the door for many young people who are trying to learn and share about their cultural heritage. The Ethiopian and Kenyan youth experience is documented in video and is available for the public through One Vibe Africa and MMRTI's social media platforms. In this documentary, the youth participants have interviewed the project developers, youth interns, as well as community leaders from the two communities. Here are the two program developers from MMRTI and One Vibe Africa talking about the MOVAI project and its importance.
The reason why I started One Vibe was to inspire other young people to tell their own stories and to build self-esteem and to know that through their gifts that they have, they can change their own communities. So I just want to use my story and my struggle and my successes to inspire young people like you so that you can also go and do the same work even in Tacoma, or go and do the same work in your homeland in central part of Kenya, because unless people see that others can do it and those others look like Simon or Asai, they will not have the courage to do it. That's why I started One Vibe.
We started this program to teach our kids, just to teach about their culture, even the basic Amharic language and history stuff. Always I wonder, really, what is my responsibility? And that was how I started volunteering, volunteered for a long time. And so I put it together, this community technology program, and started the Ethio Youth Media TV program, which is a Channel 77 cable, program to show our kids' involvement in the community. And that's why we use this youth media program to teach young people how to operate, capture, edit, and also put it together. And, this is a 1-hour TV program. Each week, we have to submit a content. That's how I use media as a tool to reflect, to be a voice for a long time. And actually, then we started this Multimedia Resource Training Institute, a 501c3 program. This is a nonprofit. It is not limited for Ethiopians or East Africans. It is everyone. Everyone is open, and we start that program and partnering with local, organizations, with the city. And it is a great program. We have studio, we have media training place, and that's how we started.
The way that COVID has affected, One Vibe Africa is that it has forced us to change our programming into virtual. We've adjusted accordingly, and now I'm helping other organizations in Seattle adjust as well. I'm helping Northwest Art Streaming Hub. I'm helping the Common Acre so that they can also begin using digital media to strengthen their organizations post-corona.
For us, I don't know, for some reason, even the first year, a year ago, it didn't prevent us. We did a project in person, 16 young people. It was a very successful program. We have about 3 instructors, and also we have about 4 mentors. And also the other one, navigators program for the community. It is a navigators helping parents. There is internet issues, there are hardware issues. So we have navigators, young people, also adults helping the Yesler and Central District throughout the year.
Here are youth participants talking about the importance of their cultural value and identity.
This program right here is showing that we're ready to appreciate each other's culture because, you're willing to listen to my side of the story just as much as I'm willing to listen to your side of the story. So I think just having a program like this at the very least, just shows how much, there's willingness on both sides of the spectrum to, appreciate each other's culture. And then we've had, a lot of you guys have gone to universities out here. We have stuff like, African nights. We have days where I used to work initially, we'd have people bring for example, like your dish, your the dish you guys serve at home, and we just, exchange food and make merry. So I think, the ways to which you show someone appreciation to someone's culture is literally limited to your creativity.
We do holidays like Ethiopian holidays. We all celebrate them even when we're in Ethiopia, as well as I do like traditions like Buna, as well as I'm trying to think of them off the top of my head. I can speak Amharic too, and then I'm learning to like read. That's like I struggle with the reading part, but I can speak pretty well now. I'm practicing on my reading, but I feel like those things really help me connect with my heritage. I feel like I actively have conversations about the cultures. And I'm open to like having them just like give me information on their cultures without me having to like question or anything like that. Just being like an open ear and just having conversations to be honest about it. And
Since I was born in Kenya and I was raised in Kenya, so like for my like most of my like let's say for my like 2 to 5 years, my family took me back to my grandmother's house so I can be able to learn like the language, the mother tongue, all that, and learn how like the culture works, like certain things, certain things you're supposed to do, certain things you're not supposed to do, like as a man, there is that in our culture. So like my family has played a big role in it.
Without my family, I wouldn't have my connection. Like, I was born and raised here. So without them, I wouldn't have that. Like they are what they provide me with, like all the stories and like the, I guess, teachings, or I don't know. They give me not just only like my mom and my dad, my grandma, my aunts, my uncles, like my cousins, like I think they're the biggest part, at least for me personally.
Yeah, social media kind of ruins their relationship because, and I 100% stand behind that because when as a first gen, people who already live here and like send social media stuff to back home, you see that kind of stuff as like, oh my God, America is so great. But then you come here and then you realize that the images that they show about people back home is completely opposite. It's like, oh, no wonder why people don't really want to go back. Like if all you see is the stuff on social media, no one wants to come back. And on the other side, when you're in Ethiopia or other countries, like of course you want to come here because all you see is good stuff. So I think social media doesn't do justice because it shows only the good side of this and only the bad sides of back home. Meanwhile, both sides have like their goods and their bads. I have yet to see like a really good representation of Ethiopia. Even when they present it as like, oh, they're developed, they want to show you like the westernized buildings and stuff like that, which is not really Ethiopian. If you want to consider us as like actually good like country, show our cottages, show our art. Don't show us like Bole. I don't know if you know where that is. It's like the metropolitan city, like part of Addis Ababa. But yeah, I think it's kind of bad.
Actually, social media now plays a huge part in everything. I would say that because like if it wasn't for social media, we would not know like a lot of things happening, Like sometimes we find out like, oh, like in Kenya this and this happened, because of social media. Maybe it's Instagram or Twitter, And like I think social media actually plays a huge role. And it's actually taking over like even like TV and all that,
I feel like social media plays a big role, and I feel in the sense of, I guess it's easier to find your heritage when like you have a platform to like see everyone. Like I'm no longer just interacting with people from Seattle, Washington, who are from Ethiopia or Eritrea or whatever, East Africa. Like I'm interacting with people from like DC or like Texas or California or whatever. And even back home, like I have the ability to stay in touch with my family more easily, which is something I feel like I couldn't have done without social media. Along with just keeping in touch and having like that sense of like familiarity and like family, I guess. You stay in touch with like the political aspect. I feel like that's also a big thing because at least for me, I don't really watch like even American news like that. Like I just like catch up like what's on my phone or like I don't really watch the news, but I keep up with news. And I feel like with politics back home, I don't really know the ins and outs, but it's good to like roughly understand what's going on. And I feel like I'm not going to just like switch on the channel and watch them talk like because they like I feel like the TV and the news channel they are not the best. So having like Twitter and stuff like that where I can just get like reliable or like small news, it helps. So yeah.
Finally, the two community leaders, Mr. Peter Gushuru from the Kenyan community and Mr. Asfaha Sabhat from the Ethiopian community, shared their experience.
I was really lucky, even though I was doing technical skills when first I was hired, but slowly I moved to working with people. So Horn of African Services was the first one that gave me a door to work with Ethiopian, Eritrean, Somalian refugees, immigrants and refugees. Then I moved to Yesler Community Center, and there was a huge East African population. I started to work with them. That's how I started partnering with MMRTI. And for the last 20 years, we did youth programming every summer for the last 11, 12 years. Still, the program is going on with MMRTI. And we did other stuff like the cultural exchange to Ethiopia. There were so many programs we did with MMRTI and other organizations. Make sure the East African community are grounded in their culture. We make sure they have the skills, the cultural norms, succeed in the United States. So I think we have still there are so many programs and community centers that can help, but those are not enough unless all those parents they say, yes, I am teaching my kid a language, but beyond that, parents have to say, let's come together. How can we help them? Families, kids are getting together. How make sure they, when we are dead, not here, are they going to survive and they will have the network still and keep the culture, the norms? Are they going able to pass that norms, culture to their kids and grandkids? Those are the things as parents, as a community, we have to do. Are we doing it? Maybe not, but that's what's supposed to be done.
It has not been difficult to stay in touch with my culture, simply because first, I started going home very early, as soon as I finished the university. And then I've always also, at very early age, was the president of PANOCA, that is Pacific Northwest Kenyans Association. And obviously we had quite a bit of events that emphasized the culture. So we have stayed close to the culture. Now, what I have done and what I didn't do, and I wish I did, is that I did not teach my kids how to speak my language. Now, when I look back, I wish I did, but I didn't. But also what I need to mention to you is that before my dear parents passed away, I took my kids to Kenya, and they have never been the same. They were very proud. They saw the love, the connection, the aunties, the grandmas, the uncles, that closeness. In other words, Africans they may not have the material things, but they are culturally very close, loving each other. And what was the outcome out of that is that my kid, beginning from there, realized where they came from, where their parents came from. They had what's called identity. Now I know where my parents came from. A very proud, rich culture. So moving forward, I will stay close. I have one son, Jonah, who is very close to the culture and to what's going on. And obviously the other kids are a little bit different. You know, every child is different. So I have stayed close to the culture.
Like I say, initially when I finished my studies in Rochester, New York, it was technology and computer. And it was not hard to find a job at that time. Having some kind of knowledge, technical knowledge, was just easy to find a job. So I lived there working for a big hospital as a tech support technician. And after a couple of years, I moved to Seattle. And in Seattle, I was new. I had two children. Two of my boys were born in New York, moved to Seattle and found a new job in Seattle. And the first time I was hired by an organization called Horn of African Services. It's an organization that works with East African, like Ethiopian, Eritrean, Somalian, and other East African countries. So I was really lucky working with Horn of African Services. It gave me a chance to work with people who look like me, to spend time and speak the language I grew up speaking, Amharic and Tigrinya. So in a way, my profession working gave me really a wonderful experience working with a lot of those immigrants and refugees, and especially Seattle is a big place for East African immigrants and refugees. So for the last 20 years, I started to work directly with a lot of East African immigrants and refugees. And that gave me a lot of, I really learned. It's a wonderful to learn. Sometimes it's a challenge because most of those immigrants and refugees, not all of them had all the skills to survive or to thrive in American culture. And working with them, helping them, it's an opportunity and a wonderful thing for me. But at the same time, I started to learn how difficult it is when you immigrated to United States on older age. A lot of families in their 50s, 60s, they come with kids, families, and they had language barrier, cultural barrier, so many other barriers, age, all that combined makes life extremely hard.
At one time, and I wish we still continue to do that, we were organizing an event, a culture event. And the reason we did that is there was such a conflict between African Americans and Africa. So we decided that we would have every year a culture event at Seattle Central Community College, which brings all of us together. That's the Africans and African Americans, to get to know each other, to share food, listen to music, with the hope that there will be a greater understanding. Because what we found out is that some of the Africans who come here, they come from concentration camps in different parts of Africa. And unfortunately, they are told that when you go over there to America, do not associate with African Americans. So they have that mentality, which is a terrible mentality, because they need to realize that the benefit that they're reaping right now as a result of hard work that was done by African Americans and also Africans like myself.
When we came, for example, there are things, when you come to the United States and live here from East Africa or Ethiopia or Eritrea, you have to learn It's a wonderful, you have your own culture, the norms and other cultural thing, but also it's extremely important where we come to. I am not living in Ethiopia, I am living here. So the norms, the traditions are a little bit different. Doesn't mean I have to drop everything I have. So what we have to do is, what's the best way that we could take from our heritage, from my Ethiopian heritage? What do I get from my father? From father, mother, and even grandfather, 1,000 years. It takes 1,000 years to develop those cultures and norms. So I have to keep those. And I say, that's not only enough, because I am in a different society, in a different culture. So I have to learn. And in this culture, there are things I will take, accept, and make it mine, my family's. And there are cultures say, no, that's okay. I would rather stay out of that kind of norms. So those are the things every family decides.
The advice I would advise would be get more involved in the community, youth programs, and also don't forget is that don't always wait for people to start a project. Start it yourself. Come together, 2 or 3, and brainstorm and say, we believe this is what we can do to help our community, especially youth. So that's what I would advise you. I'm really proud, excited to be talking to you. As I said, I came to America when I was about your age. It's been a struggle, but I'm a very blessed man where I am. As I said, I'm involved right now in a huge project. I'm hoping that our size program will be one of the tenants there. And so many, many years when I'm all gone, they can say, you see that building? There was a gentleman called Peter Gichuru from Kenya, played a role in making it happen. Dream high. Sky's the limit.
I have 3 kids, and I always worry if they don't know the language, if they don't know the norms, the customs, the tradition, then after 2 generations, they are lost. They don't have any. So look how tragic is, for example, for most African Americans, they say, I'm not sure where I come from. They have huge, wonderful history, culture here for the last 400 years. But a lot of them, they want to know, where did I come from? I think after 300 years, they are asking, is it from Ghana, Zanzibar? A lot of people, they go in search. So, but we as Ethiopians, just the first generation, we are losing because they don't know the culture, they don't know the language. Like he say, it's easy, it's convenient to speak English and forget that back African culture. That's really scary. That is really the scariest thing I have always, and a lot of Ethiopians. So in that regard, we are really, really in a bad shape when it comes to Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia. I really appreciate what, for example, Middle Eastern is much better, or South Asians are much better. So are we teaching our kids the language? Are we make sure those not only learning the language, but are they connected enough to the culture, the country where we came from? If that's not the case, that's the scariest thing. Think about, for example, I have 3 kids. After so many, I don't know how many years, I will not be here alive. They will have their own children. And in the second generation or third generation, they are the only ones. If they lost the language, if they lost the tradition, even they don't know, they may not know where they come from. So yes, grounded in your culture, knowing your culture, knowing your language, your tradition. Beyond that, create a network, a path to your country. Go there, find someone, help someone, your cousin, your dad, or your countryman, have relationship. School, just we used to call parliament. Go and find someone beyond your cousins. Go every year, every other year, every 10 years. I don't know, but keep your culture, not only the language, but beyond that. And that's really, really crucial.
In conclusion, we believe this documentary will serve MMRTI and One Vibe Africa as a model for community-led preservation of East African culture, to strengthen their collaboration to work together, and bring other communities to do similar projects in King County.